let us now discuss about general chemistry, no? For your IO4 um, competency assessment and general education. Okay, so let's start with kini ang defining what is chemistry. So by definition, chemistry is the study of matter and the changes it undergoes. Again, chemistry is the study of matter and the changes it undergoes. So, the father of modern chemistry is si Anton Lavoisier. Okay, so he is considered as the father of modern chemistry for his emphasis on careful experimentation. So it was Lavoisier who determined that oxygen was a key substance in combustion. As you can see here in the left side of your screen, this is the Chinese character for chemistry, means the study of change. Okay, and also take note, another important person in chemistry is si Robert Boyle. Okay, si Robert Boyle is the first modern chemist, and he is famous for his work on gases, no? Boyle's law and gas. Okay, um, let us also discuss applications of chemistry. Okay, so there are a lot of applications in chemistry, no? Everyday life nato nag-include of kini ang chemical changes, chemical reactions, and even mga products na atong ginagamit is a product of chemistry. Okay, so chemistry is kini ang ginagamit siya specifically in food industry, in agriculture, in making fertilizers, mga pesticides, no? Like include gyapon na siya og kini ang careful na pag manipulate sa mga chemicals. Okay? Specifically, medicine pod, no? Uh, naggamit gihapon sa, nag-apply gihapon ng medicine sa mga concepts in chemistry, fuel production, cosmetics, wars, no? Even in wars, no? Modern warfare karon is gagamit na sila og kini ang unsa na nuclear bomb, no? In which wala man na sa una na kung wala pa tong mga um, modern na mga discoveries about uh, making kini atomic bombs. Okay, and then daghan pa gud, again daghan kayo og application ng chemistry in our everyday life. Okay, so there are five main branches of chemistry. We have the organic chemistry, which focuses on its study on carbon and its compounds, no? And then we have inorganic chemistry, which is the study of inorganic compounds, no? Or compounds nga wala nag-contain of carbon at saka yung hydrogen nga bond. Kay si kung naay carbon ug hydrogen nga bond, it is called also already considered as a organic chemistry. Again, ang mga compound nga naay carbon and hydrogen nga bond, it is considered as organic nga compounds, no? Kung wala ni siya ng carbon ug hydrogen, or wala isa ani, it's inorganic na compound. Okay, and then third branch of chemistry is analytical chemistry, which focuses on the development of tools to measure properties of matter. Okay, then we have the physical chemistry, no? This is the application of kini ang physics ng mga concept in studying chemistry. Okay, and then we have biochemistry. From the name itself, bio means life. It's the chemistry of life. It's the study of chemical processes that occur inside of living organisms. Okay? So let us also talk about atomic theory, no? Specifically yung Dalton's atomic theory. But before that, let's talk about Democritus. Democritus is a Greek philosopher. He is the first one to express the belief that all matter consists of a very small indivisible particles, which he named atomos, meaning uncuttable or indivisible. Okay, and then we have John Dalton, no, which is an English scientist. Ayan, an English scientist and school teacher. No, he formulated a very precise definition of the indivisible building blocks of matter that we call atoms. Okay, Dalton's concept of an atom was far more detailed and specific compared nato kang Democritus. That is why Yung definition natin today about atom is based on the definition that was given by John Dalton. Okay? Let us talk about Dalton's atomic theory. So there are, I think, 4 or 5 postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. First, according to Dalton's atomic theory, elements are composed of extremely small particles called atoms. And then second postulate is that atoms of a given element are identical, meaning they have the same size, the same mass, and the same chemical properties. Again, ang isa ka element, no, ang atoms nga nag-compose sa isa ka element, for example, gold, no, yung atoms nga nag-create sa element na gold or nag-compose sa element na gold, they are identical, meaning they have the same size, the same mass, and chemical properties ang atoms sa isa ka element. Okay? And then the atom of one element are different from the atoms of all other elements. Okay? Dalton, however, made no attempt no to describe the structure or composition of atoms kasi wala joy idea about that time unsay structure sa atom si Dalton, no, so yung structure sa atom, no. And then um, yeah, that's it. No, Dalton at that time when he proposed this kini ang Dalton's atomic theory, this theory, he has no idea what is really an atom, no? Usay yung dagway sa atom, okay? Wala siya ning touch nga kini ang area, okay? And then the third postulate or assumption of Dalton's atomic theory is that compounds are composed of atoms of more than one element. Again, compounds are composed of atoms of more than one element. For example, ang compound is carbon dioxide. It is two types naman ng element, si carbon o si oxygen, right? Duha ka oxygen, isa ka carbon. Okay, so carbon dioxide is a compound. So in any compound, the ratio of the numbers of atoms of any two of the elements present is an integer. Okay? Wala naka-fraction ang kini ang unsa na ang mga atoms, no, walay katunga ang atoms nga nakipag-bond to another atom, no, meaning whole jud nga atom nga nakipag-bond with another atom to make or to kini ang to form a compound. Okay, so this third postulate of Dalton's atomic theory supports the law of definite proportion. Ano ba yung law of definite proportion? So it was kini ang published by Joseph Proust, which is a French chemist. According to this law, different samples of the same compound always contain its constituent elements in the same proportion by mass. Okay, again, according to the law of definite proportions, different samples of the same compound, okay, always contain its constituent elements in the same proportion by mass. For example, in every carbon dioxide, no, naa jud nay permente in every carbon dioxide compound, naa jud nay permente isa ka carbon atom ug duha ka oxygen. Okay? That is the law of definite proportion. So let's say for example here we have atoms of element X. For example lang nato si element X is si oxygen. Okay, let's say for example si element X here is si oxygen. Example lang ha. And then si element Y is si carbon. Yan. Okay? So according to Dalton's atomic theory, atoms of the same element are identical, but atoms of one element are different from atoms of other elements. As you can see here, using ball na model ng atoms, no? Lahi og structure si oxygen, lahi pod og structure si carbon. Example lang ni ha. Okay? So compound formed from atoms of elements X and Y. In this case, the ratio of the atoms of element X to the atoms of element Y is 2:1. So say for example, this one here, kining letter B na no, compounds of elements X and Y. So for example, this is carbon dioxide. Okay? So ang carbon dioxide na ay isa ka carbon ug naapoy duha ka oxygen. Okay? So the ratio in this the ratio of atoms in this compound is 2:1, duha ka oxygen in one ka carbon sa isa ka compound or molecule sa carbon dioxide. Okay? The next postulate of kini ang, yeah, before we proceed with the other postulate of data storage theory, um, also, um, the third postulate of atomic theory by Dalton was also supported by the law of multiple proportions. Okay, the law of multiple proportions states that if two elements can combine to form more than one compound, again ha, duha ka elements nag-combine to form more than one compound, the masses of one element that combine with a fixed mass of the other element are in ratios of small whole numbers gihapon. Whole numbers, wala naka fraction. Okay? So the compounds differ in the number of atoms of each kind that combine. For example, we have here carbon monoxide, no? Si carbon monoxide, si carbon dioxide, the same lang nga type sa element ang nakamake sa ilaha. Okay? Carbon ug oxygen. However, lahi-lahi ang kadaghanon or ang proportion sa isa ka element in uh, the two compounds of kini ang carbon. So sa carbon monoxide na ay isa lang ka carbon ug napoy isa ka oxygen. Sa carbon dioxide naman is na ay isa ka carbon I'm sorry, isa ka carbon og duha ka oxygen. So as you can see here in carbon monoxide 1:1 ang ratio ng atom. Dito naman sa carbon dioxide is 2:1 ang ratio ng atoms ng carbon at saka yung oxygen. Okay, the fourth postulate of Dalton's atomic theory is that a chemical reaction involves only, okay, remember this one, a chemical reaction involves only the separation, combination, or rearrangement of atoms. It does not result in their creation or destruction. Again, during chemical reaction, walay ma-destroy nga atom, wala po'y ma-create nga atom. Only separation, combination, o rearrangement lang sa atom ang mahitabo during chemical reaction. Again, walay ma-create o walay ma-destroy nga atom during chemical reaction, mag-separate lang sila or mag-combine or mag-rearrange ang mga atoms during chemical reaction. Okay? So this is in support of the law of conservation of mass. Okay? So this law states that matter can neither be created nor destroyed. So based on this postulate by Dalton's atomic theory, we can define atom as the basic unit of an element that can enter into chemical combination. Again, atom is the basic unit of an element that can enter into chemical combination. Okay? Now let us talk about the structure of the atom. No? There are atomic particles nga atong makita sa isa ka atom. Okay? Namely, we have protons, electrons, and neutrons. So si proton here is a positively charged nga particle which is located in the nucleus of an atom together with neutron which is kini ang neutral nga particle in the atom, meaning neutral, wala say charge. Okay? So si electron naman nag-orbit siya no sa nucleus sa isa ka atom. Electron is a negatively charged nga particle. Okay? So let us talk about the discovery of these different subatomic particles. It was J.J. Thomson ang nakadiscover sa electron using the cathode ray experiment. Sa proton naman at saka sa nucleus, it was Ernest Rutherford ang nakadiscover using his experiment alpha scattering. Si James Chadwick naman for the neutron na nakadiscover. Okay, so again, atoms consist of three basic particles: protons, electrons, and neutrons. And here are the different mass of kini ang each of these particles. Okay? Si electron is ang pinakagaan, no? Pinakagaan nga kini ang particle in the atom. Okay? As you can see here na negative 28 ang iyang na exponent here sa iyang scientific notation, compared to proton at saka neutron which is approximately the same, no? 1.67 by 10 raised to the power of negative 24. So in getting the mass number of an atom, no, we will just only add the number of proton at saka the number of neutron, no? We do not consider the mass of electron in getting the mass of an atom. Again, in getting the mass of an atom, we only get or we only add uh, the mass of its proton at saka the mass of its neutron, which is found on the nucleus of an atom. However, here si electron has kini ang a charge, no? The same sila or charge ni proton but different ang magnitude. So yung charge ni electron is negative 1.6022 by 10 raised to the power of negative 19. And then yung charge naman ni proton is positive 1.6022 by 10 raised to the power of negative 19. Okay? So in charge unit, this is positive 1 for proton at sa negative 1 for electron. Si neutron does not have a kini ang charge at all. Okay? Now, how do we get atomic number, mass number, at saka yung isotopes? Let's talk about them. Protons and neutrons again, as what I have said kanina, have approximately the same mass, about 1.67 by 10 raised to the power of 24 grams. Okay? So scientists define this amount of mass as 1 atomic mass unit or 1 Dalton. Okay? So ang mass sa neutron o proton kada isa ka neutron kada isa ka neutron is considered as 1 atomic mass unit or 1 Dalton. Okay? So again, the number of neutrons in an atom contributes significantly to its mass. Kay mo man atong i-add si neutron ug si proton. However, walay contribution si neutron sa charge sa isa ka atom. Kaya again, si neutron does not have a charge. It's a neutral na particle. Okay? However, si electron is kini ang although wala siya labot, no, or di nato siya gina-consider ang iyahang mass when we take the mass number or yung mass ng isang atom. It's because of its kini ang very small na mass, no, about 1 over 1840 of 1 atomic mass unit, no, nga nakagamay ang iyahang mass compared to protons at saka neutrons. Pero si electron is nagka-contribute siya greatly on the atom's charge kay naa siya negative 1 nga charge in every electron. Okay? So as each electron has a negative charge equal to the positive charge of a proton. So in a neutral atom, okay, when we say neutral atom, mula siya net nga charge. That means ang iyang number of electron o ang iyang number of protons are equal or the same in number. Again, in an uncharged neutral atom, the number of electrons orbiting the nucleus is equal to the number of protons inside the nucleus. Mo na nga ang iyang net charge is 0. Kaya parehas sa kadaghanon ang iyang proton, which is positively charged nga particle, o ang iyang kini ang electron, which is negatively charged nga particle. So neutral ang isa ka atom pag the same ang number sa electron o number sa iyang proton. For example, here we have the atom helium, no? Si helium, as you can see here, naa siya duha ka proton, kaning naay plus sign, red na ball. Ayan, let me have a pointer. And then napod siya duha ka neutron at saka duha ka electrons. So since si helium naa siya duha ka proton, no? Napod siya duha ka electrons, wala siya in net nga charge, no? Meaning neutral siya nga atom. Again, in this atom, the positive and negative charges cancel each other out, leading to an atom with no net charge or neutral nga atom or uncharged nga atom. So again, remember this one. One proton is positive 1 ang iyang charge. Iyang mass is 1 Dalton or 1 atomic mass unit. It is found in the nucleus of an atom together with neutron. Si neutron is walay mass, walay charge si neutron, na siya 1 nga atomic mass unit or 1 Dalton. Si electron is na siya negative 1 nga charge pero wala siya nato gina-consider in getting the mass of an atom. Okay? So it is found si electron sa orbitals or sa orbits sa isa ka atom. Okay? Again, 1 atomic mass unit or 1 Dalton is equivalent to 1.67 by 10 raised to the power of 24 grams. Okay, so how do we get the atomic number and mass number of an atom? Okay, si atomic number of an atom is just the number of protons sa isa ka atom. Kung pila ka buok proton ang nasa isa ka atom, mao po na ay ang atomic number. Okay, Si mass number naman is the sum of the number of protons and the number of neutrons in an atom or in an element. Okay? So again, para makuha nato ang mass number, ato ang i-add si proton o si neutron. Okay? Para makuha ato ang mass number. Ano ba yung kaibahan ni mass number at saka ni atomic mass? Okay? Si atomic mass is the average mass of an atom taking into account all its naturally occurring isotopes. Ano ba yung isotopes? We will talk more about isotopes mamaya. But let us first define isotopes here. An isotope is kini ang an atom, no? It's an atoms. Isotopes of an atom are naa sila parehas kadaghanon sa kini ang proton, but they have different number of neutrons. Okay, that is an isotope. So yung kalahian ni mass number of ni atomic mass, si atomic mass is the average mass of an atom taking into account all its naturally occurring isotope. Okay? So si mass number is just the sum of the number of protons and neutrons sa isa ka atom. No, wala na to gina-consider ang mass pod sa iyahang mga isotopes. Okay? So here, no, in nakay periodic table, si 2 here is the atomic number or the number of protons sa helium. Kaya na may duha, no? As you can see here, duha ka proton, si helium. And then He is the elemental symbol of helium. And then we have here the atomic mass. Mahibalaan mo siya kung atomic mass ba siya or mass number pag naa siya pag nakadesimal gani ang mass, that is atomic mass. Okay? Pero wala siya nakadesimal, no? Kaya meaning nakadesimal siya, that is an average mass number sa tanan occurring isotope sa helium. Okay? Pero kung 4 lang na siya din okay, that is mass number. Wala 4.003, 4 lang, that is mass number. Pero kung naay mga decimal, no, 0.00, uban pa, that is considered as atomic mass. In other pod nga mga periodic table, ingani lang pagkasulat sa mga element in the periodic table, no? Sa taas, sa left side is the mass number, din sa ubos is the atomic number. So kung asa ang dako nga number, mao to ang mass number or ang atomic number. Kung asa ang kamay, mao to ang kung asa ang dako nga number, mao to ang mass number or atomic mass. Kung asa ang kamay, mao to nga number ang atomic number. Okay? So as what I have said kanina, isotopes are atoms of the same element that contain an identical number or the same number of protons but a different number of neutrons. Okay, so isotopes of the same element have very similar physical properties. Some elements such as carbon, potassium, and uranium have multiple naturally occurring isotopes. So here we have isotopes of carbon, carbon 12, carbon 13, at saka carbon 14. So, carbon 12 is naa siya unom ka protons o unom pod ka neutrons. Si carbon 13, unom gihapon ang ihang protons pero ang ihang neutrons is 7. That is why gitawag siya carbon 13 kay 6 plus 7, 6 ka proton o 7 ka neutrons is 13 man. Okay, that is his mass number or nuclear number niya. Carbon 14, again, the same number of proton, no? At saka 8 yung number of neutrons na. 6 plus 8, that is 14. That is why it is called carbon 14. Okay? So we also have here the isotopes of hydrogen, no? Hydrogen 1, hydrogen 2 or deuterium, hydrogen 3 or tritium. And then we have here the isotopes of uranium, uranium 238 and uranium 235. Okay? So daghan pa na nga mga atoms ang naay isotopes. Okay, so let's try to name this atom. As you can see here, naatay pila ni ka proton, no? Sa duha, tulong, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ka proton, no? 8 ka proton. So if you're going to look at the periodic table of element, no? You can pause this one, check in the periodic table of element kung kinsa nga atom ang or element ang naay 8 nga atomic number. Okay? So the name of this compound is si oxygen. Si oxygen has 8 ka protons o 8 pod ka neutrons. Okay? How about this one? What is the mass number of this atom? Again, pagkuha na to sa mass number sa atom is i-plus nato si neutron, okay? Plus nato si neutron o si proton. Ayan. So if we're going to count the number proton, tulo sa tunga, okay, tulo, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay? So, naatay 15 nga proton. Yan. How about ang ato ang neutron, kining yellow? Upat sa tunga. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 ato ang neutron. Okay? So, i-add lang nato na muna dayon ang ato ang mass number. So, the mass number of this atom is 31. Okay? I think this is phosphorus ata, no? Si kining nga atom. Okay. So, let's talk about placement of electrons, no? Ngano na may placement of electrons. So, electrons are kini ang gina-occupy ni nasa gina-occupy nga mga orbit, no, or energy level in the atom. So we have here the energy level or main shell of an atom. Ginanumberan nato sila ito. N is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. Okay? And then we also have sub-level or sub-shell sa isa ka kini ang atom. Okay? We have here upat ka sub-level or sub-shell. We have the S sharp, P principal, D diffuse, F fundamental nga mga sub-level or sub-shell, SPDF. Okay, SPDF. So, um, in each orbital, no, each orbital of this sub-level, naman number of orbitals kada sub-shell or sub-level, in each of its orbital, it can hold a maximum of 2 electrons. So, si sharp nga subshell na siya isa lang ka orbital, that means si sharp nga subshell can only hold maximum of 2 electrons. Okay? Si principal naman or P nga subshell or sublevel na siya tulo ka orbitals. Again, kada orbital is makahold lang siya og duha ka electrons. So naay tulo ka orbitals, that means si P orbital can hold a maximum of 6 electrons. Si D orbital naman na siya si D nga subshell naman na siya 5 ka-orbitals. So that means it can hold a maximum of 10 electrons. And then si F has 7 orbitals and it can hold a maximum of 14 electrons. Okay? So as you can see here, we have here the first energy level, no? First energy level nato, no? First shell, inaalang siya isa ka subshell or the S na subshell. Sa second main energy level nato, no, na siya duha ka subshell, si S and P. Sa third energy level nato na ay tulo ka subshell, S, P, and D. And then sa fourth main energy level nato or main shell is naagihapoy unsa ni upat ni siya, upat ka subshell, the S, P, D, and F. Okay? Okay, we are done with the atoms, no, and its particles. Now let us proceed with classifications of matter. Okay? So what is matter? No, matter, anything that occupies space and has mass. Pag nag-occupy siya ng space, naa siya mass, it is considered as matter. Okay? So there are 5 states of matter. We have solid, liquid, gas, and then plasma, and then the most recent now is si Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay? More nagay ito'y kaunom, no? Pero wala pa kayo tay information about ika-6 nga state sa matter. Okay, let's proceed with solid. Solid has both definite shape and volume. Okay? Example ng solid, yung baso, no? Solid man na siya. Bato, okay? Solid gihapon na siya. So, solid, no, ang iyang particles are packed tightly together so they don't move much. So, yung particles ng isang solid nga matter is kini ang dikit-dikit kayo sila, packed tightly together. That is why yung particles niya do not move much. That is the reason why yung electrons of each atom are constantly in motion, no? However, here, tungod kay tightly packed sila, yung electrons ng ang mga particles ng atoms nga nag-create or nag-form sa isa ka solid is wala kayo siya ga-move. Okay? So the atoms have a small vibration but they are fixed in their position. Okay? Solid um, solid particles in a solid have a very low kinetic na energy. Say kinetic na energy meaning energy in motion. Tungod kay wala kayo galihok ang iyahang particles in solid, that is why it has a low kinetic energy si solid. Next is liquid. A liquid has distinct volume independent of its container, but has no specific nga shape. Again, walay no specific nga shape. Walay specific nga shape si liquid, no? Magdepende ang iyang shape sa container nga iyahang sudlan o iyahang i-occupy. Okay? So particles of liquid are more loosely packed than in a solid. Okay? Compare nato ang particles ni liquid ug ni solid, mas luag-luag ang particles, no, or wala kayo nagdikit-dikit ang mga particles sa isa ka liquid compared kang solid, and they are able to flow around each other, giving the liquid an indefinite shape. Okay, so again si liquid nag-assume lang siya sa shape of the portion of the container it occupies, wala siya specific na shape. Okay, so liquid together with gas, they are fluid, kay they are able to flow and assume the shape of their containers. Again, fluid, dili lang pag fluid, not necessarily mean nga liquid na gina siya fermenting, no? Pag fluid, pwede po gas because gas can flow and can assume the shape of their containers. Okay? So, third na state of matter, again, is gas. Again, si gas is fluid siya. It is able to flow and assume the shape of their containers. So, compared to the particles of solid and liquid, the particles of gas have a great deal of space between them and have high kinetic energy. Anong taas siya kinetic energy or energy in motion? Because mas freely or mas makalihok-lihok ang iyang particles sa mga gas tungod kay wala kayo sila nagdikit-dikit, no? Kay lagyo man sila ang mga particles sa gas. That is why it has high kinetic energy. So a gas has no definite shape or volume and can be compressed to occupy a smaller volume, or it can expand to occupy a larger one. Okay? So, if unconfined, yung particles ng gas will spread out indefinitely, no? For example, nung hangin, no, hangin is made up of gases man. So, kung dili na to siya igubutang sa closed na container, no, mugawas din na siya or mo spread out indefinitely. However, if it is confined, the gas will expand to fill its container. Okay? So you can see here the difference between the particles of solid, liquid, and gas. You can see more tightly packed ang solid. Si liquid is more loose siya compared kang solid ang iyahang mga particles. However, as you can see here, lagyo kayo ang particles ni gas because they are not tightly packed and they are loose na mga particles. Okay. So, solid, liquid, and gas, no? In the case of water, si water kasi is it can exist in three state of matter. It can be a solid in a form of ice. It can be a liquid, no? Kanang ginainom nato water, or it can be a gas in a form of water vapor or steam. Okay? So as you can see here, si ice, no? Pag imo siyang ibutang sa kinang temperature nga taas-taas no nga temperature, so kasi if increase nato ang temperature, si ice will turn into a liquid. Okay? Liquid na form ng water. Din si liquid na form, pag pataasan na po nato siya, ibutang nato siya or i-expose nato siya sa taas nga temperature, no? It will turn into a gas, which is in a form of water vapor or steam. Kaya gani magdungag mo, abrihan nato ang kaldero no, yan ay magawas yung murag unsa na white na aso, it's steam or water vapor na nag-evaporate. Okay? However, si steam naman or si water vapor, pag ato siyang pabugnawan, no, it will turn back into its liquid na state. Okay? And then si liquid na state naman sa water, pag ato na pong pabugnawan na po siya, it will turn back to its solid na state, which is the ice. Okay? Now let us proceed with the fourth state of matter, which is the plasma. See, plasma is not a common state of matter here on Earth, okay? But it may be the most common state of matter in the universe according to the Jefferson Laboratory. So stars are essentially superheated balls of plasma. Okay, the example ng plasma is yung mga stars. They are superheated balls of plasma. And plasma consists of highly charged particles with extremely high kinetic energy. Although katong aurora borealis gani o aurora australis, no, they are also plasma, made up of plasma. They are made up of kini ang highly charged particles, no? And then they have extremely high kinetic energy compared to gases. Okay? So the noble gases, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and radon, are often used to make glowing signs by using electricity to ionize them to the plasma state. So pwede na to i-convert, no, kining mga noble gases into a plasma nga state by kini ang exposing them to electricity. Kanang ginagamit gani sa mga signage nga electrical na grabe ka mga hayag ng mga signage, no, nagagamit na sila og kanyang mga noble gases that is being converted into its plasma state using electricity. Okay, so they are being charged ang mga noble gases. And then the fifth state of matter is what we call the Bose-Einstein condensate. So it was created by scientists in 1995 using a combination of lasers and magnets. So it was Eric Cornell and Carl Weyman, no, ang kini ang na responsible for cooling a sample of rubidium to within a few degrees of absolute zero. Okay, when we say absolute zero, that is the temperature is 0 Kelvin na siya, no? At this extremely low temperature, molecular motion comes very close to stopping. Yung kinetic energy ng isang matter, when it comes to its absolute zero, is dili na gud sila maglihok. Okay? Since there is almost no kinetic energy being transferred from one atom to another, the atoms begin to clump together, and there are no longer thousands of separate atoms, just one super atom. Okay, that is the Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay, so Bose-Einstein condensate also is used to study quantum mechanics on a macroscopic na level. Okay, so light appears to slow down as it passes through Beck, allowing scientists to study the particle or the wave paradox. It's a very complex nga kini ang topic, no, kini particle of wave paradox. So scientists use the Beck, no, to uh, to to slow down light, no. Okay, it will appear nga si light is mag-slow down siya if mag-pass through siya sa isa ka Beck or kining Bose-Einstein na condensate. Okay, a Beck also has many of the properties of a superfluid or a fluid that flows without friction. Okay, kuyawa, no, fluid that flows without friction. Okay, so meaning it can flow forever, no, kaya si friction is kuan na siya, it's a force man nga for example, maglakaw ta na may friction ana, di ba? So kung ang fluid mag-flow siya without friction, um, it may mean nga pwede siya mag-flow forever kaya wala pa yung maka-stop sa iya. Okay? So Becks are also used to simulate conditions that might exist in black holes. So wala pa kayo tay daghan nga kinang knowledge na about the Bose-Einstein condensate, no? Because it is still under investigation. Okay? So we are done with the states of matter. Now let us proceed with the changes in the state of matter. Kagaya nung nangyari sa ice, na himong water na kini ang ginainom nato, and then convertible siya into um, vapor, water vapor, or yung steam. Okay? So meron tayong I think 6 changes in the state of matter, no? Which is mahitablong siya in the three state of matter: solid, liquid, at saka yung gas. Okay. First change in the state of matter is freezing. Okay, when we say freezing, ang isa ka matter nag-turn from liquid to solid. Example, best example ani si ice, no? Si ice, no, butang tong refrigerator, water pa na siya. Kasi si ice kay water mabod, no, di ba? Water liquid pa na siya nga water, then pag ato siya pabugnawan, no, mag-ice siya, na-turn siya into solid. So that is freezing. Kabaliktaran ni freezing is si melting, no? Pag ato ana pong ipagawas si ice from unsa na from the refrigerator, ibutang nato siya sa normal lang nga temperature or taas nga temperature, it will melt, no, matunaw siya, it will go back to liquid, from solid to liquid. That is melting. Okay? Example again is ice to water. So we have another change in the state of matter called evaporation, no? It is the change from liquid to gas. Okay? For example, ani is yung kanang magpabukal ta og kanyang tubig, no, liquid water. Um, pag ato mga pasagdaan ng liquid water, no, nga abri ra ang taklob, no, tingala ta nga ni murag di hubas ang pabukalan ng mga tubig because nag-evaporate na yung liquid water to water vapor or katong steam. Kini makita niya nga murag white nga aso. Okay? And then kabaliktaran naman ni evaporation is si condensation. Okay, si again si evaporation is liquid to gas man. Si condensation is gas to liquid. Okay? So example sa condensation is when a bottle of cold water or soft drink forms water droplets on the outside. Okay? Kini murag singot-singot sa mga botelya gani. Tingala ka nga, ano magsingot-singot mo siya ning gawas ang tubig sa kini ang bottle. No, wala ning gawas ang tubig sa bottle ha. Tungod kay bugnaw ang surface sa kini ang water bottle here, bugnaw man siya gikan sa freezer, and then ang atong atmosphere is naaman siya naaman siya water vapor ang atong atmosphere kini hangin na ato ang mabangga-banggaan, no, na siya water vapor. So yung water vapor pag makabangga siya or mag-hit siya aning bugnaw kayo nga surface sa bottle, no, mag-undergo og kini ang condensation ang water vapor, which means from gas kasi water vapor is gas man, which means from gas to liquid. Again, kanang tubig nga makita nimo sa singot-singot sa tubig, no, nga makita nimo sa botelya sa mga soft drinks or sa cold water, no, dili na siya nagikan sa sulod sa botelya. It's from the atmosphere nga water vapor nga nag-undergo og condensation. Okay? And then we have sublimation. So this is a change in the state of matter from solid to gas. And best example ani is yung mothballs at saka yung albatros. No, ng alcampor maguro tawag ana. Ang ginabutang nato sa butang sa mga mama or mga lola sa mga cabinet, no, para dili magpuyo ang mga ukok, no. Di ba kini siya kini mga mentos, no, mag-evaporate or mag-sublimate na siya, meaning dili siya mo turn into liquid, no, muditso na siya into gas, no. Unlike kang melting, si melting is mo turn siya into liquid, di ba, from solid to liquid. Here sa sublimation, solid to gas ditso na. Okay, just like with albatros kanang gimutan nato sa CR sa mga sakyanan, di ba, dili na sila mag-turn into liquid, muditso na sila into gas, and then may balaan mo na siya nga nag-undergo siya og sublimation because of its scent. Okay? Sublimation, solid to gas. And then kabaliktaran naman ni sublimation is si deposition, which is a change in the state of matter from gas to solid. Okay? Example ani is si kanang formation of frost. Usa din ang formation of frost. During winter, bugnaw kayo, grabe ka ubos sa temperature, no? Yung water vapor in the atmosphere, when it hits di kini ang mga dahon, mga kahoy, mga sanga, no, grabe kayo kabugnaw because of winter, dili na siya mo undergo condensation katong water vapor. Muditso na siya og katong form into a frost, no. Ang tawag ana niya nga change in the state of matter is deposition na, no, from gas to solid. Ang gas here is the water vapor, and then yung solid is kining frost, kining murag puti-puti dila nga murag ice nga form, no, in winter. Okay, so those are the changes in the state of matter. Okay, then katong changes in the state of matter, they are just physical change sa isa ka matter. Okay, when we talk about physical change, it's just the chemical composition of a matter remains the same, no? Only the physical ang nausab, walay na usab sa iyang chemical composition, so that is chemical change. So again, physical change, it involves only a change in the size, shape, or state of subdivision as well as changes in the state of matter. Walay nahitabo nga change sa iyahang chemical composition. Just like freezing, melting, condensation, sublimation, deposition, o katong sa to. Nakalimot ko sa isa. Okay? So they are just physical change. Okay? And then we also have kini ang chemical change. So chemical change nag-involve na siya og change in the chemical composition sa isa ka matter in which it is caused by a chemical reaction. So chemical change, the chemical composition of matter has been altered or has been changed, or a chemical reaction has taken place. For example, kanang pag-form sa taya no sa kini ang bakal or rusting of iron, okay? So si iron nag-react sa oxygen nga nasa atmosphere to form rust or kanang taya. So nag-include na siya og chemical reaction, then this is considered as chemical change. Okay? Now let us talk about the properties of matter. So properties are the characteristics that enable us to differentiate one material from another. So any characteristic that can be measured, such as an object's density, color, mass, volume, length, malleability, melting point, hardness, odor, temperature, and more are considered properties of matter. So natay ginatawag na physical properties and chemical properties of matter. Okay? Physical properties of matter is kini ang an attribute of matter that is independent of its chemical composition. Again, independent of its chemical composition. So a physical property can be measured and observed without changing the composition or identity of a substance. For example, color sa matter, melting point, boiling point sa matter, no, wala may change in the chemical composition sa matter ana. So that means si color, si melting point, si boiling point, they are physical properties of matter. Okay? Chemical properties of matter naman, these are characteristics that can only be measured or observed as matter transforms into a particular type of matter or na ay chemical reaction nga involved. For example, reactivity, flammability, okay, toxicity, acidity, and ability to rust are examples of chemical properties of matter. Okay? So reactivity means it is the tendency of matter to combine chemically with other substances. Tawag nato nga reactivity. Okay? Flammability naman is the tendency of matter to burn. So it is pag mag-burn na gani ang isa ka butang na ay chemical reaction na nahitabo, then flammability is considered chemical property of matter. Toxicity, the extent to which a chemical element or a combination of chemicals may harm an organism. Acidity naman is a substance's ability to react with an acid. Okay? And then we have intensive at saka yung extensive properties of matter. Ano ba yung kaibahan ng intensive and extensive properties of matter? When we talk about intensive property, kini nga properties sa matter is kini wala siya nagadepende or it does not depend on the amount of matter being considered. Okay, again, does not depend on the amount of matter being considered. For example, temperature. Okay? Another kini ang intensive property is boiling point. Okay? So wala siya ang temperature bisan pa for example, magpabukal ta og tubig sa kabaso nga tubig. Okay? Then magpabukal pud ta og isa ka kaldero nga tubig or isa ka takore nga tubig. Okay? Although mas una mo bukal, kay mas una nga mo bukal ang katong ipabukal na tong isa ka baso compared sa to isa ka takore. However, ang temperature nga mubukal ang tubig is the same sila, 100 degrees Celsius. Okay? So mag-start og bukal ang katong isa ka baso nga tubig nga atong ipabukalan if ma-reach na niya ang temperature nga 100 degrees Celsius. The same with kadtong isa ka takore nga atong ipabukalan, mag-start siya og bukal bisan tuod og daghan siya, okay? Basta kay ma-attain na niya or ma-achieve na niya tong 100 degrees Celsius nga temperature. So that means yung boiling point ng for example yung water, okay, which is 100 degrees Celsius, is kini ang intensive property. The same with temperature. Okay? Wala nakadepende ang temperature sa kadaghanon sa isa ka matter as what the definition of intensive property mean. Again, intensive property does not depend on the amount or kadaghanon sa isa ka matter being considered. Okay, example, temperature, boiling point, melting point, sa panauman ha. However, sa extensive property is nagadepende siya kung pila or unsa kadaghan ang matter nga ki-consider. Okay, for example, ano is yung mass. For example, ang mass or ang timbang sa bugas. Ang timbang sa bugas is magdepende siya na kung unsa kadaghan yung gitimbang ba ang mass, di ba? Kung ang isa ka kumkum nga bugas compared nimo sa isa ka balde nga bugas, lahi-lahi gina sila og mass kay nagdepende man ang mass sa kadaghanon sa matter. Meaning extensive, meaning depende siya on how much matter is being considered. The same with length at saka yung volume, no? Um, uh, si volume is nagdepende gyapon siya sa kadaghanon sa matter nga gi-considered. So extensive property meaning nagdepende siya sa kadaghanon sa matter. Si intensive property wala nagadepende sa kadaghanon sa isa ka matter. Okay? So we have here the uh, diagram, no, about the properties of matter. So we have here chemical properties, no, and then we have here the physical properties. So physical properties can be intensive or extensive. Again, examples of intensive physical property o katong mga property nga wala nagadepende sa amount sa matter is color, melting point, boiling point, density, temperature. Okay? Si extensive physical property naman o katong property sa matter nga nagdepende sa kadaghanon sa matter is si mass, si volume, si length o si shape. Okay, remember that one. As you can see here, intensive and extensive properties and their examples. Okay, let's proceed with substances and mixtures. Ano ba yung kaibahan ng substances and mixtures? So when we talk about a substance is a matter that has a definite or constant composition and distinct properties. Okay? It can either be an element or a compound si substance. Okay? So examples ng substance, water, silver, ethanol, table salt or sodium chloride at saka carbon dioxide. Okay? Substances differ from one another in composition and can be identified by their appearance, smell, taste, and other properties. Okay? Mixture, on the other hand, is a substance, okay, consisting of two or more substances, okay, that have been combined without chemical bonding, meaning it's just physical combination. When we talk about a mixture, it's just physical combination, no? Walay chemical reaction nga involved, no? Ang nag-mix lang ani is or nag-combine ani is ilaha lang physical nga kini ang property. Okay? So, physically combined and can be physically separated pod ang isa ka mixture. Okay? So, we have two types of mixture. We have the homogeneous mixture and the heterogeneous mixture. Now, let's talk about homogeneous mixture first. Homogeneous mixture has only a single phase. Okay? It cannot be separated by simple filtration lang ang mga homogeneous mixture. Example ng homogeneous mixture is katong mga solution, no? For example, ng solution is sugar solution, no, which is a mixture of water and sugar. Si brine solution, which is a mixture of water and salt. Si vinegar, si bronze, si brass, at saka yung clean air. Si clean air is considered as mixture of gases. So naalang ni sila yung mga single nga phase, meaning kung yung tag homogeneous mixture, dili nato identify by our naked eye ang kini ang mga substances nga nagmix, no? Kay naa sila single nga phase. For example, kung ma-dissolve si sugar sa water, dili na nato makita si sugar. Ato makita na lang is si water. The same with brine nga solution. Okay? And then for example, sa bronze, no? Sa bronze is made up of copper and tin, mixture of copper and tin. Pero kapag tanaw nimo ang bronze, dili na nimo ma-identify kung asa dinhi si copper ug asa din ha acetin. So that is homogeneous mixture na lang siya single na phase. Okay? Heterogeneous mixture naman, okay? The components of this mixture are visually distinguished, meaning mabalaan nato nga nahilahi ang kanyang components anang a mixture. So it can be separated by physical means like filtration, evaporation, sublimation, crystallization, and distillation. Distillation. Okay? Example ng heterogeneous mixture, salad, halo-halo, macaroni, kanang graba, okay, mixture of sand and iron fillings, etc. Basta kay ma-distinguish nimo ang components sa isa ka mixture, it is considered as heterogeneous mixture. Okay? So we have types of heterogeneous mixtures. We have the colloid, no? Colloid contains tiny particles that do not settle due to gravity. Meaning dili mulugdang na mga tiny particles, no? Perminti lang sila naga suspended, okay? Sa isa ka mixture ang tiny particles sa colloid, okay? Example ng colloid is milk, gelatin clouds, foams, or kanyang icing, no? Sa ginagamit natin sa cake, emulsions, mayonnaise, at saka yung mga aerosols, okay? So, one way of identifying colloid is by applying the Tyndall effect. Ano ba yung Tyndall effect? It is a phenomenon in which the particles in a colloid scatter the beams of light that are directed at them. Okay? For example, we have here tayo sa ka solution din hiya, no? Pag mag-undergo gani ang beam of light of colloidal dispersion, then or na observe nimo nga Tyndall effect nga nahitabo sa beam of light, then that is considered as a colloid. Okay? And then we have also kini ang na suspension, which is another type of heterogeneous mixture. Suspension contains larger particles that eventually settle down. Unlike ang colloid nga dili mag-settle down or dili mulugdang ang iyang mga tiny particles, si suspension is naa siya larger nga particles unya kini ang maglugdang na siya eventually. Okay? Example is muddy water, di ba? Kanang for example, tubig sa baha, di ba? Mga tuwa siyang palugdangon ang katong lapok nga naa sa tubig baha is eventually mulugdang siya nung paubos siya. Then pataas tong hilo na nga tubig. Chocolate milk, powdered juice, no? Mga suspension na sila. Because as you have observed nung inom kag juice, di ba? Na may uban nga dili matunaw dayon, no? And then mulugdang na sila sa ubos ang mga larger particles nga wala pa na dissolve. Okay? So we are done with substance and a mixture. Now let us proceed with elements and compounds. So these are just kining akong i-discuss karon in chemistry is very basic lang kaayo na mga information about chemistry. Okay? So an element is a substance that are made up of only one type of atom. Okay? It cannot be decomposed further even through chemical means. Example ng element is yung gold, hydrogen gas, oxygen gas, and etc. Okay? Currently, as what I have known, there are still 119 nata, but I don't know the name of the 119. No? Most ng mga periodic table of elements na alay 118 ka elements. Okay? Si yan. So we have here the first 10 elements in the periodic table. We have the hydrogen arranged according to the number of protons nila, no? Si hydrogen na alay 1 ka proton, si helium na 2 ka proton, si lithium na 3 ka proton, beryllium na 4, boron 5, carbon 6, nitrogen 7, oxygen 8, fluorine 9, and then neon 10. Okay? So there are types of elements. We have metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. Okay? Metals are usually solid, no, and is a good conductor of heat and electricity. Example is copper at saka yung bakal, no, which is iron. Okay? So metals exist as solid with the exception of mercury and gallium, which are liquid in room temperature. Okay? So naay kini ang ginatawag nato na ferromagnetic substances. These substances or kini nga mga metals, they are substances that are strongly attracted by a magnet. Okay? Example ng mga ferromagnetic elements or ferromagnetic na substances is katong iron, cobalt, nickel, gadolinium, and dysprosium. Okay, daghan pa na sila. Basta katong ma-attract sila sa namo po mga metal, di ba, nga dili ma-attract sa kiniang or dili mo pilit sa isa ka magnet. So they are not considered ferromagnetic substances. Okay? The second type of element is the non-metals. A non-metal is a chemical element that are poor conductors of heat and electricity. So, include na din niya ang non-metals, si oxygen gas, si carbon, si bromine, at saka sulfur. Mostly, sa right side sa periodic table is mga non-metals sila. Okay? And then sa center sa periodic table is mga metals. And then sa left side po sa periodic table is mga metals. Okay? So the third type of element is what we call the metalloids or the semi-metals. So they are intermediate in properties between metals and non-metals. So they have both properties pod sa metals at saka non-metals. So kining mga metalloids, they are sometimes called as the borderline elements. Okay? As you can see here in the periodic table of elements, no, group 1 and 2, with the exception of kini ang hydrogen, they are all kini ang unsa na metals, sa mga metal na sila din ha. Kini sa center sa periodic table mga metal. Kini din hiya is mga non-metaling, mostly sa um, left side, no, kini noble gases, mga kini ang halogens, no, oxygen, sulfur, uh, phosphorus, nitrogen, carbon, mga non-metals. And then we have here the metalloids, boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, um, lead, tellurium, and polonium. Okay? Those are the metalloids. The rest, kini sila din hiya, the mga lanthanides, actinides, they are metals. Okay. So how about a compound? What is a compound? A compound is a substance formed by the chemical combination of elements in fixed proportions. Example ng compound is si water, which is made up of two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. Another example is carbon dioxide, okay, which is also a compound. Table sugar is still a compound. Table salt or sodium chloride is still a compound. Now, um, what is the difference between molecule and a compound? A molecule is kini ang a compound. However, not all compounds are molecule. Ano man? When we talk about molecule, it is either made up of kini ang two atoms in the same element or different element. Pero yung tawag compound, it is made up of two atoms that are different na mga elements. So again, for example, si oxygen molecule. Oxygen nga molecule, no? Duha ka oxygen atoms nag-bond. So si oxygen molecule is not a compound. Kaya nga naman, by definition, si compound, it's formed by the combination of two elements, no, two types of elements. So kay isa raman ka types element ang nasa oxygen nga molecule or oxygen nga gas, then si oxygen nga gas is a molecule but not a compound. Okay? That is the difference between compound and a molecule. Now let us proceed with the types of chemical bonding. Okay, we have ionic at saka yung covalent na bond. So ionic na bond, mahitabo ni siya if there are two atoms or molecules that are connected to each other by electrostatic attraction. Okay? So ionic bonds form when a non-metal at saka yung metal exchange electrons. Okay? Example ng um, compound nga na ionic bond is si sodium chloride or si magnesium oxide. Okay? So in ionic bond, ang metal mag-lose siya og electrons and then si non-metal mag-gain siya og electrons. For example, we have here the sodium chloride. As you can see here, no, kining yellow na mga balls nga nag-orbit sa sodium, these are the electrons of sodium. Okay? So si sodium na siya valence electron ng 1, meaning na ay 1 nga electron siyang outermost shell. Okay? Si chlorine naman na siya 7 ka valence electrons, meaning na ay 7 ka electrons in its outermost shell. So si sodium here, iyahang gidonate ang iyahang isa. Si sodium here is the metal ha. Iyahang gidonate ang iyahang isa ka electron to chlorine, which is the non-metal. Okay? Si chlorine here karon ang kini ang acceptor sa electron. Okay? So here, um, nagkaroon sila ng bonding because of electrostatic attraction. As you can see here, after nga nag-donate si sodium o isa ka electron, no, padulong kag chlorine, si sodium now has kini ang na a positive charge. Okay? Positive charge na karon si sodium. And then si chlorine here kay nawad-an man si sodium here og isa ka electron, meaning mas daghan na ang numbers siyang proton compared sa iyang electrons. Okay, mo nang naa siya positive na charge, positive 1 nga net charge. Si chlorine naman, because nag-receive siya or nag-accept siya og kini ang electron, meaning mas daghan na iyang number of electrons compared sa iyang protons, that is why naa na siya net nga negative charge. Okay? So, positive charge, no, kung magdikit ang positive charge o negative charge, mag-attract na sila to each other. Okay? Ang tawag anang attraction is what we call the electrostatic attraction. Okay? Kanang attraction between a positively charged nga ion o negatively charged nga ion. So, mo na ang naggunit sa ilaha between the two atoms sa sodium o chlorine ang electrostatic attraction na makita lang sa ionic bonding. Okay? The next type of chemical bond is what we call the covalent bond. Okay? When we say covalent bond, no, two atoms are connected to each other by the sharing of two or more electrons. Again, sa ionic bond no, na ay mag-donate, na apoy mag-accept. Sa covalent bond, walay mag-donate, walay mag-accept, only sharing of electrons. Okay? So covalent bonds form when electrons are shared between duha ka non-metals. Again, walay metal ha nga nag-undergo og covalent bond, no? Um, non-metals lang ang ga-undergo og covalent bond. Okay? Examples ng covalent bond, mga compound nga na that is formed by covalent bond is carbon dioxide, water, methane, butane, kana sila is mga covalent bond na sila. So you can see here carbon dioxide, no? Si carbon dioxide um, na ay duha ka oxygen atom na apoy isa ka carbon atom. Okay? So yung electrons ni carbon atom is kining green, right? Green nga mga bows. As you can see here, si oxygen naman, ang iyang mga electrons is kining mga red nga bows. So nag-share sila. Si oxygen nag-share og duha kang carbon atoms, duha ka electrons ng carbon atoms, and si carbon atom pod nag-share aning atom here sa oxygen og duha. Okay? The same po ang nahitabo ani din hiya sa other oxygen atom, meaning na ay duha ka electrons ang gi-share sa kada isa ka oxygen atom, and then si carbon pod is naa siya upat ka electrons nga gi-share duha sa isa ka oxygen, and then the other is on the kini ang isa ka oxygen nga atom. Okay? So those are the types of chemical bonding. So depende ang kini ang number of bonds no sa covalently bonded atoms sa ilahang um, sa ilahang number of valence electrons. Okay? So a given nonmetal atom can form a single, double, or triple bond with another nonmetal. So which type of bond is formed between the atoms depend only on their numbers of valence electrons. Again, nakadepende sa number of valence of electrons kung ang isa ka covalent compound is na siya single, double, or triple nga bond. Okay, as you can see here, hydrogen gas na siya single nga bond, oxygen gas na ay double nga bond, nitrogen nga gas na ay triple bond between the two atoms of nitrogen. Okay? Now let us proceed with the types of chemical reactions. Okay? First, we have synthesis or yung combination. Okay? Synthesis or combination. So it is a reaction between two or more simple substances to form a single product. Again, reaction between two or more simple substances to form a single product. For example, here we have the general formula A plus B equals AB. Okay? A, nag-react kang B, okay, which yield or produce AB. Okay? Example here is si hydrogen gas o si oxygen atom nag-react with each other to form water. Okay? That is synthesis or combination na type sa chemical reaction. The other one is the decomposition. Kabaliktaran ni synthesis, no? Decomposition, a single reactant is broken down to two or more simple products. So, yung general formula ng decomposition is AB, no? AB nag-yield siya og A and B nga kini ang simple products. So, we have here si water, no? Nag-undergo siya og kini ang decomposition na decompose siya into hydrogen gas at saka yung oxygen na gas. Other type of chemical reaction is what we call the substitution or displacement. Okay? So a more reactive element replaces a less active element in a compound. So this is the general formula for substitution or displacement. A, B plus C yields or produce AC and B. So here in example nato sa sodium chloride na nag-react ng potassium, okay? So si potassium here, iyahang gipulihan si sodium because si potassium is more reactive than sodium. That is why ang atong product is potassium chloride at saka sodium. Okay? We have a pointer. Again, si potassium here is more reactive compared kang sodium. That is why gi-displace ni potassium si sodium. Mao na nga in our product we have here potassium chloride at saka sodium, in which ang atoang reactant ani nga chemical reaction is sodium chloride and si potassium. Okay, and then we have also double decomposition or metathesis. Okay, ano ba yung double decomposition or metathesis? Two or more compounds produce two or more new products. Okay, this is the general formula. AB reacts with CD to yield or to produce AD at saka CB. Okay, so for example din here is yung silver nitrate nag-react kang sodium chloride and then the product is silver chloride and saka sodium nitrate. Okay, more reactive si mas more reactive si silver compared kang sodium. Okay, that is double decomposition. Again, example is si silver nitrate nag-react kang sodium chloride to produce or to yield silver chloride and sodium nitrate. Okay? Meron din tayong tinatawag na endothermic at saka yung exothermic chemical reaction or type of chemical reaction. When we say endothermic reaction, there is a need of energy for a chemical reaction to occur. Okay? So here is the general formula, no, for this endothermic reaction. A plus B plus energy, which produces AB. Best example for this is yung kini ang unsa na photosynthesis na process, no? So in photosynthesis, no, si carbon dioxide nag-react with water, no, using the energy from the sun, no, yung sunlight natin na energy to produce glucose and oxygen na gas. Again, in photosynthesis, si carbon dioxide nag-react kang water through the aid or help of the sunlight, which is a type of energy, to produce glucose and kini ang oxygen gas. Okay? So kabaliktaran naman ni endothermic energy is si exothermic energy, in which in this chemical reaction, no, kining exothermic na reaction is kini ang naay na release nga energy. Okay? Walay gigamit ka energy but naay na release ka energy. So these are the general formula for exothermic energy, no? AB yields AB, A plus B yields AB plus energy, meaning na na produce the energy. Okay? Example for this is yung cellular respiration. So during cellular respiration, si glucose mag-react siya with oxygen, okay, to produce or to yield carbon dioxide and water, at saka na ay ma-release na energy in the form of ATP. Okay, that is during cellular respiration. Okay, now let's talk about a very basic information about acids and bases. So when we say it is an acid, a compound or isa ka mixture is an acid, it has a pH value, a value of below 7. So we have pH value mga is from 1 to 14. So pag below 7 siya, it's an acid. Again, pag below 7 ang value sa pH, it's an acid siyang compound. Okay? Si base naman have a pH value above 7. Okay? Pag 7 na po ang pH value, like water, it is a neutral. Okay? Dili siya acid, dili po siya base. Okay? So acids are usually distinguished from bases or vice versa through the use of indicators. For example, ang indicator is katong litmus paper. No? So, pag ibutang nato ang litmus paper sa isa ka acid, no, ang blue nga litmus paper will turn into red. Okay? Again, pag ang blue litmus paper ibutang nato sa acid, ang blue litmus paper will turn into red. Pag ang red litmus paper naman ibutang nato siya sa base, okay? It will turn into blue. Okay? Again, pag ang red litmus paper ibutang nato siya sa base, it will turn into blue. Okay, so those are indicators, no? How we identify acids and bases based on using litmus paper. So unlike acids and bases, neutral compounds do not change the color of indicators or wala change in the color sa litmus paper. That means it is a base nga kini ang solution baka or a compound baka. Okay, so we have here the kini ang structure, no, organization about matter. So matter is either a mixture, is a pure substance, no, si mixture na atay homogeneous, it's a heterogeneous mixture. Pure substances naman, it can be a compound or an element. Okay, so that's it about chemistry. Thank you so much, and the next video for this one will be about physics.